It was a Saturday afternoon like so many others at St. Helen's Community Clinic, the kind of day where time seemed to stretch and bend under the hum of fluorescent lights and the steady rhythm of heart monitors. Nurse Emily Vance was halfway through her shift, her mind ticking through the familiar cycle of patient files, vital signs, and the occasional overheard cough from the waiting room. The clinic sat at the ragged edge of Briarwood, a part of the city that had long since traded prosperity for survival. Here, the sidewalks were cracked, old brick buildings bore the faded ghosts of advertisements from a better era, and the streets were often ruled not by law, but by whoever had the loudest engine and the meanest glare. Emily knew these streets well. She had grown up just 3 blocks away, in a cramped apartment above her father's old repair shop. Life had never been gentle. But that was fine. She had learned young that gentleness was something you carried within and guarded fiercely, because the world would not hand it to you willingly. It was part of why she had chosen nursing, part of why she worked in a neighborhood where the pay was modest and the risks were high. She had been told by colleagues more than once that she was wasting her skills here, that she should apply for a position in a bigger hospital uptown where she could earn double. But she couldn't walk away. She knew too well what it was like to be invisible, to be turned away because you couldn't pay or because someone decided you weren't worth the trouble. Here, no one was invisible, not on her watch. It was just past 3 when the sound reached her, a distant, low rumble that seemed to shiver through the walls of the clinic. She was in the break room, sipping black coffee and flipping through the day's patient log. The hum of the old refrigerator and the faint rustle of paper were familiar, calming. But the noise outside grew louder, the kind of sound that didn't just pass by. It rolled in like a storm, each rev of the engine an unspoken announcement were coming. Emily glanced toward the narrow window, catching a flash of chrome and black leather. Her jaw tightened. She had seen enough of Briarwood's biker gangs over the years to know that when a group of them rolled together, trouble was rarely far behind. She placed her mug on the counter and stepped into the hallway. The clinic's double doors slammed open with a force that made Carla, the receptionist, nearly jump out of her chair. The smell hit next: oil, gasoline, and the faint musk of sweat and leather. 3 men stepped inside, bringing the street with them. They didn't look around like men entering a medical facility. They scanned the space like wolves entering a den. The one in front was massive, his beard streaked with gray, a black leather vest covered in patches, skulls flames, and the unmistakable insignia of the Iron Vultures Motorcycle Club. The other 2 were younger, lean and twitchy, their gazes sharp and restless. Emily's instincts prickled. She stepped closer to the reception desk. "Clinics closed to walk-ins today," Carla said, her voice wavering despite her attempted authority. Her hand hovered just inches from the phone. The leader's grin was slow and deliberate, his eyes never leaving hers. "We're not here for a checkup, sweetheart," he said, his voice a low growl that made the air feel heavier. "We're here for what's ours." Emily's gaze followed his subtle nod toward the far corner of the waiting area. There, hunched in a chair, sat a boy no older than 16, his left arm wrapped in fresh white bandages. Emily recognized him instantly. He had stumbled in that morning, pale and shaking, the gash along his forearm deep enough to require 12 stitches. He hadn't said much, just that he had fallen. She had seen enough bruised teenagers to know better than to press too hard in the moment. But the way he had flinched when she reached for the antiseptic had told her everything. Now, his eyes went wide, panic slicing through his expression like lightning. "That's him," one of the younger bikers said, pointing at the boy with a finger that shook, whether from excitement or rage Emily couldn't tell. "Little thief, boss wants him back." The boy's chair scraped the floor as he instinctively shifted back. Emily stepped forward, her body moving before her mind caught up. "He's under our care," she said, her voice steady, though her pulse had started to climb. "If you have a problem, you'll need to leave." The leader chuckled, a sound with no humor in it. "Lady, I don't think you understand." But before he could finish, the boy bolted from his chair, sprinting down the hallway toward the examination rooms. The younger bikers moved instantly to give chase, but Emily planted herself in the narrow space between them and the hallway. The nearest one sneered, stepping forward. "Move, nurse." "No," she said simply. She didn't have time to see his next move. A heavy shove hit her square in the chest, knocking the wind from her lungs. She stumbled back, her heel catching the edge of the worn rug, and she went down hard. Pain flared across her hip as she hit the floor, the linoleum unforgiving beneath her. The leader barked orders, sharp, commanding, and one of the bikers lunged for Carla, his hand clamping down on her wrist when she tried to grab the phone. Emily's vision cleared just in time to see Carla's face contort in pain. Heat flooded Emily's chest, quick and fierce, burning away the brief fog of impact. Her gaze swept the room, searching. That was when she saw it. A broken chair in the corner of the waiting area, one leg splintered clean off from some old accident. The jagged wood gleamed faintly under the harsh light. She crawled forward, fingers closing around the chair leg. The weight of it was solid, grounding, a weapon born from something mundane. Rising to her feet, she gripped it tight. The biker holding Carla didn't even notice her at first. His attention was still on the phone she had been reaching for. Emily swung. The wood connected with his midsection in a dull, satisfying thud. He doubled over, coughing, his grip on Carla loosening immediately. She stumbled back, clutching her wrist. "Oh, so the nurse has claws," the leader drawled, his tone mocking but his eyes sharper now, measuring her. The younger biker recovered first, lunging at her with a snarl. Emily stepped sideways, swinging the wood upward in a brutal arc. It connected with his forearm, and the crack of impact was followed by his yelp of pain. The jagged edge of the chair leg had enough bite to make every swing count. Emily's heart pounded in her ears. She could feel the old instincts she hadn't needed in years stirring, the ones from growing up in Briarwood, where you learned to fight back if you wanted to keep what was yours. The leader stepped forward now, slow and deliberate. "You're not taking him," Emily said, her voice low but unshaken. "Not while I'm standing here." He tilted his head. "Lady, you have no idea who you're messing with." "Neither do you," she shot back. His grin disappeared. Then he moved. For a man his size, he was fast, his fist swinging toward her head. She ducked, feeling the rush of air as it missed by inches. Her counterstrike landed against his ribs, but he barely flinched, his thick leather vest absorbing some of the blow. His hand shot out, gripping the chair leg, yanking it toward him. They struggled, the wood between them like a live wire. She could feel the strength in his arms, the kind that came from years of hauling engines and fighting in alleys. She needed an opening. It came in the form of his boots, thick-soled, but heavy. She stomped down hard on his left foot. The grunt he let out was enough to loosen his grip, and she wrenched the wood back into her hands. Somewhere in the distance, a sound cut through the tension. The rising wail of police sirens. The leader's eyes flicked toward the door. His jaw clenched. "We'll be back for him," he said, his voice low and dangerous, before jerking his chin toward his men. They backed toward the exit, their eyes never leaving hers, and then they were gone, the slam of the double doors, followed by the roar of engines, fading into the street. Emily stood there, chest heaving, the chair legs still in her hands. The boy emerged slowly from the hallway, his wide eyes fixed on her like she had just performed some impossible magic. You didn't have to do that," he said, his voice shaky. Emily turned toward him, the adrenaline still thrumming in her veins. "Yes, I did. Now you're going to tell me exactly what's going on." And as the sirens grew louder outside, the boy finally began to speak, halting, hesitant at first, then in a rush, as if afraid the truth might vanish if he didn't get it out all at once.